He thought he had buried his past along with his wife, but the day he saw two little girls praying at her grave, whispering, "Mama, we miss you," his entire world cracked open, and what he discovered next would destroy everything he believed about love, loyalty, and the woman he thought he knew. He stood frozen, unable to breathe, as the wind carried their innocent voices straight into his soul, because those words were never meant for strangers. Armin Halim was a man who owned everything: luxury homes, private jets, a business empire that stretched across continents, but the one thing he couldn't control was the emptiness that had followed him ever since his wife, Zoya, passed away 2 years ago. He visited her grave every month, not because it brought him peace, but because guilt chained him there. Their marriage hadn't been perfect. In fact, toward the end, it had been filled with silence. Late nights at work had replaced dinners together, business deals had taken priority over conversations, and slowly, painfully, love had turned into distance. The last thing he ever said to her was, "We'll talk later, I'm busy." But later never came. That morning, the sky was heavy with clouds as Armin walked through the cemetery, his polished shoes sinking slightly into the damp soil. He wasn't prepared for what he was about to see. Two little girls, no older than 6 or 7, knelt in front of Zoya's grave. Their small hands were folded, their heads bowed, and tears rolled down their cheeks. "Mama," one whispered softly, "we came like you said, we're being brave." Armin's heart stopped. "Mama?" He stepped closer, confusion tightening in his chest. The girls looked identical, same soft curls, same fragile expressions, same eyes that reminded him of someone. Of Zoya. "Who are you?" Armin's voice came out sharper than he intended. The girls turned, startled. One of them clutched the other's hand tightly. "You shouldn't shout here," the other said softly. "Mama said this place is peaceful." Armin swallowed hard. "Why are you calling her Mama?" The girls exchanged a glance, as if deciding whether they could trust him. "She is our mama," the first one said simply. The world tilted. "That's not possible," Armin murmured. She didn't have children." But even as he said it, doubt crept in. Zoya had been distant before her death. Secretive. There were times she disappeared for hours, offering vague explanations. He had been too busy to question it, too distracted to notice the cracks forming in their life. Now those cracks were breaking open. "Where is your father?" Armin asked, his voice trembling slightly. The second girl looked down. "We don't have one." Armin felt something inside him shatter. Before he could say anything else, a woman approached from behind, her expression tense. "Girls, I told you not to wander off." She stopped when she saw Armin, her face draining of color. "You," she whispered. Armin frowned. "Do I know you?" The woman hesitated, then looked at the girls, then back at him. "You should have known," she said quietly. Armin's chest tightened. Known what? But deep down, he already feared the answer. The truth didn't come all at once, it unfolded like a wound being slowly reopened. The woman introduced herself as Syra, Zoya's closest friend. The same friend Armin barely acknowledged during their marriage because he was always too busy. "She was pregnant," Syra said, her voice steady but her eyes filled with pain. Armin felt the ground disappear beneath him. "No, she would have told me." Syra shook her head. "She tried." Every word hit like a hammer. "She waited for the right moment," Syra continued. "But every time she approached you, you were on a call, rushing out, or too tired to listen." Armin's throat tightened painfully. "She didn't want to stress you," Syra added. "You were building your empire, and she didn't want to become another burden." "Burden?" Armin's voice broke. "She was my wife." "But she didn't feel like one anymore," Syra replied gently. Silence fell between them. The twins stood quietly, watching everything, not fully understanding the storm unfolding around them. When she got sick during pregnancy, she hid it, Syra said. By the time she told me, it was too late to fix anything easily. She made me promise, if something happened, would take care of the girls. Armin's chest burned with regret. And she never told me, he whispered. She believed you didn't have time, Syra said. And maybe, she was afraid of losing what little of you she still had. The words cut deeper than anything else. Armin looked at the girls again, his daughters. His blood. His heart. All this time, they had existed without him, because he had been too busy chasing everything else. The first girl stepped closer. Are you crying? Armin didn't realize he was until he felt the tears falling. Yes, he said softly. Why? She asked innocently. He knelt down in front of them, his voice shaking. Because I didn't know. I didn't know I had something so precious. The second girl tilted her head. Are you, our papa? The question broke him completely. For a moment, he couldn't speak. Then, with trembling hands, he pulled them into a gentle embrace. Yes, he whispered. I am, if you'll let me be. The girls hesitated, then hugged him back. In that moment, something inside Armin healed, but something else shattered forever. The man who once valued time only in money now realized he had lost years he could never get back. From that day forward, everything changed. He stepped away from endless meetings. He spent mornings making breakfast, evenings listening to stories, and nights sitting beside their beds until they fell asleep. He visited Zoya's grave again, but this time, he didn't come alone. I'm sorry, he whispered one evening, the girls holding his hands. I failed you, but I promise, I won't fail them. The wind moved gently through the trees, as if carrying forgiveness. And though he could never undo the past, Armin finally understood the truth that shattered him. Love doesn't wait for later. Because sometimes, later never comes. And sometimes, the greatest wealth in the world isn't what you build. It's who you choose to hold on to before it's too late. The truth didn't come gently, it hit Armin like a storm he couldn't escape. Syra stood there, her eyes filled with years of silence that were finally breaking free. The twin girls held onto each other, sensing something heavy in the air, something bigger than their innocent understanding. She was pregnant, Syra said again, more firmly this time, as if forcing the truth into reality. Armin shook his head slowly, stepping back. No, that's not possible. I would have known. She would have told me. But even as he spoke, memories began to twist inside his mind. Zoya standing at the doorway, trying to say something while he typed on his phone. Zoya sitting quietly at dinner, watching him take call after call. Zoya smiling faintly, hiding something behind her eyes. She tried to tell you, Syra said, her voice soft but unrelenting. Many times. Armin's breath grew uneven. Why didn't she just say it? Syra let out a bitter smile. Because you never stayed long enough to listen. Those words sliced deeper than any accusation. The world around him blurred as guilt rushed in, suffocating and merciless. She found out about the pregnancy during one of your business trips, Syra continued. She was so happy, she kept talking about how you'd finally slow down, how this would bring you closer. Armin closed his eyes, pain flooding through him. But things didn't go as she hoped, Syra said. You got busier. Bigger deals, longer nights. She started feeling like she was disappearing from your life. I loved her, Armin whispered, his voice breaking. I know, Syra replied. But love isn't just what you feel, it's what you show. Silence fell again, heavy and suffocating. The twins looked between them, confused, their small hands tightening together. When her health got worse, she didn't tell you, Syra said. She didn't want to be a burden. Armin's eyes snapped open. A burden? She was my wife. My responsibility. But she didn't feel like she mattered anymore, Syra said gently. Not in your world. Each word felt like a mirror, forcing Armin to see the man he had become. When the doctors warned her about complications, she was scared, Syra continued. Not for herself, but for them. She looked at the girls. She made me promise that if anything happened, I would raise them. She didn't want them growing up feeling unwanted. Armin's knees weakened. And then, Syra hesitated, her voice trembling for the first time. She passed away shortly after giving birth. The world went silent. No sound. No breath. No time. Just emptiness. Armin staggered slightly, his heart unable to carry the weight of what he had just heard. All this time, while he mourned her, while he blamed fate, while he drowned himself in work. His daughters had been alive. Waiting. Growing up without him. Because he wasn't there when it mattered most. A small voice pulled him back. Are you okay? One of the girls asked softly. Armin looked down at her, the same eyes as Zoya, the same quiet strength hidden behind innocence. Tears rolled freely down his face now, uncontrolled, unstoppable. No, he whispered honestly. But I will be, if you let me. The second girl stepped forward, studying him carefully. Mama used to say, our papa was a good man. Just very busy. That broke him more than anything else. Even after everything. Zoya had protected his image in their hearts. Armin fell to his knees in front of them, his voice shaking. I'm so sorry. I didn't know. I should have known. I should have been there. The girls exchanged a glance, then slowly, gently, they moved closer. Are you really our papa? One asked. He nodded, unable to speak. There was a pause, a moment that felt like forever. Then, as if guided by something deeper than logic, they stepped into his arms. And in that fragile embrace, something powerful happened. A broken father found his children. And two little girls found the man they had been praying for. Days turned into weeks, and Armin's life transformed in ways he never imagined. The man who once measured time in profits now measured it in bedtime stories and laughter. He learned how to braid their hair, badly at first, making them giggle. He learned their favorite foods, their fears, their dreams. He learned how to be present. Something he had never truly been before. Every night, before they slept, the girls would pray. And now, Armin prayed with them. Not for success. Not for wealth. But for forgiveness. One evening, standing at Zoya's grave with the twins beside him, Armin finally found the courage to speak. I failed you, he said softly, his voice heavy with emotion. I had everything, but I didn't give you the one thing you needed, my time. The wind moved gently, brushing past them like a quiet response. But I promise, he continued, holding the girls' hands tightly, I will spend the rest of my life loving them the way I should have loved you. The girls squeezed his hands. And for the first time in years, Armin felt something he thought he had lost forever. Peace. Because the truth may have shattered him. But it also gave him a second chance. A chance to become not just a successful man, but a present father. And he knew now, with absolute certainty. No amount of money could ever replace the moments you choose to miss. Because in the end, love doesn't wait. It either lives in the time you give, or it fades into the regrets you carry forever.